Larry, what are we about to see? Another 90-second annihilation of an ill-prepared opponent?
90 seconds. That was how long a reporter thought he'd be covering the Tyson versus Douglas fight. And honestly, you couldn't blame him. Because in 1990, Mike Tyson was the scariest boxer you could have ever faced. And mind you, he wasn't just beating his opponents. He was destroying them. He was crushing guys so fast that if you remember his fights never lasting more than 3 rounds, you're not far off. But here's the thing. This isn't a story about Mike Tyson's domination. This is the story of the guy who went toe-to-toe with the most terrifying athlete on earth and delivered the performance nobody thought he had in him. The 42-1 underdog who walked into that ring carrying more than anyone knew. This is the story of James Buster Douglas and how he pulled off one of the greatest upsets in boxing history. On February 11, 1990, James Buster Douglas walked into the Tokyo Dome to face Mike Tyson for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. And nobody, not the press, not the bookmakers, not even the fans who bought tickets, genuinely believed he was going to win. Most casinos literally refused to take bets on the fight. The only bookmaker willing to touch it was a guy named Jimmy Vaccaro, and he opened the odds at 27-1. And if you think that was absurd, bettors kept hammering the Tyson side so hard that Vaccaro had to push it all the way up to 42-1 just to get anyone to put money on Douglas. And to be fair, those odds didn't just come out of nowhere. Because if you looked at the two guys stepping into that ring, the contrast was terrifying. In one corner, you had Iron Mike Tyson, the youngest heavyweight champion in history, boasting a record of 37 wins, 33 knockouts, and 0 losses. Across all his title defenses, his average fight lasted just over 5 rounds. Hell, many guys didn't even survive to see round 2. He was one of the most, if not the most, ruthless finishers the sport had ever seen. Douglas, on the other hand, had a very different story. In his only other title fight against Tony Tucker, a fight he actually could have won, he seemed to just gas out. By round 10, he stopped answering punches and ultimately lost via TKO for simply not fighting back. And that loss didn't just cost him the fight. In the bitter aftermath, a series of heated disagreements forced him to split with his longtime trainer. And because that trainer happened to be his own father, it shattered his family in the process. So, to the public, you had a challenger who had previously faded as the fight went deep, stepping into the ring with a human wrecking ball who rarely even let fights reach the later rounds. But having a mismatch on paper is one thing. The truth is, his hardest fight began before he ever stepped into the ring. You see, in the weeks leading up to the fight, his personal life went into absolute freefall. During his training camp, his marriage was completely falling apart, to the point where he and his wife weren't even on speaking terms. On top of that, his previous partner, the mother of his young son, was suddenly diagnosed with a severe kidney illness. And if that wasn't enough, just 23 days before the opening bell, his own mother, Lula Pearl, passed away. She was his biggest supporter, and the one person telling anyone who would listen that her son would win against Iron Mike. That kind of emotional weight would break almost any fighter before they even stepped into the ring. And if you think all of this affected Douglas, you're right. Just not in the way anyone expected. On fight night, it felt like Douglas was an afterthought, like a warm-up for the Evander Holyfield fight. It's as if the question wasn't whether Douglas would lose. It was how long he'd last. The expectations for Douglas were so incredibly low that the broadcast team was literally saying it out loud on live television. Heck, one of the announcers even said that Douglas would shock the world if he just managed to survive to the middle rounds. But when the opening bell actually rang, it was clear Douglas wasn't there just to survive. Instead, he established a stiff, punishing jab and completely took control of the fight. He was snapping Tyson's head back, dictating the distance and making the baddest man on the planet look entirely human. In fact, he was so devastatingly effective that by the end of round 5, Iron Mike's left eye was already swelling shut. And for the first time in his entire career, Mike Tyson looks like he was in serious trouble. This was it. If he could just keep fighting the way he did, Douglas could become the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. But then, this happened.
And there's a right hand uppercut and down goes Douglas.
With just seconds left in round 8, Tyson found a tiny opening and unleashed a catastrophic right uppercut that sent Douglas crashing to the canvas. This moment felt sickeningly familiar. It was the Tony Tucker fight playing out all over again. He was winning, he got careless, and then he got caught. And if the past was any indicator, he would just stay down and the Cinderella story would be over. And yet, he didn't. Though visibly frustrated and maybe even a little shocked, he dragged himself to his feet and survived the round. And in the very next round, Douglas showed incredible tenacity. Tyson smelled blood, came out swinging and probably expecting his opponent to finally crack. But instead of folding, Douglas held his ground, traded punches with Tyson, and even got the better of the exchanges. Heck, he even backed Tyson into a corner and wobbled him. It was clear that this wasn't the same man who faded when it mattered, and he was about to prove it. Because as they came out for round 10, Douglas delivered the ultimate plot twist. He caught Tyson with a brutal right uppercut that snapped the champion's head back, followed by a rapid-fire combination that sent him crashing to the canvas. Then, as the referee counted, Tyson scrambled on his hands and knees, blindly fumbling for his mouthpiece. But by the time he finally stood up, the referee had seen enough. It was over. The announcers were right. Buster Douglas did shock the world, but he didn't do it by just surviving the middle rounds. In round 10, the exact round where his last title dream died, he shattered Mike Tyson's aura of invincibility. On February 11th, 1990, James Buster Douglas became the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world.
It's easy to be negative. I mean, it's easy to give up, say that, the hell with it. But to be positive and be strong and have the faith, it takes a lot, and I think that by becoming a heavyweight champion, that I would be able to, show the youth here that, it's possible to fulfill your dreams.
Sometimes it'll feel like the odds are so stacked against you that trying feels pointless. Like the outcome's already been decided before you even get your chance. And when everyone around you expects you to fall short, it is so incredibly tempting to just give up. But maybe showing up anyway is the whole point. Maybe that's what turns a statistic into a story. Because Buster Douglas proved that beating the odds is never a sure thing. But it starts the moment you decide to fight anyway.